It's been 10 years since Don't Nod gifted us Life is Strange, a narrative adventure that resonated deeply with me despite its occasional awkwardness. Its teenage cast, while sometimes delivering dialogue that bordered on cringy, possessed an undeniable charm. Its soundtrack was evocative, the characters compelling, and the central narrative masterfully layered a teenage drama with a burgeoning supernatural mystery. Its prequel DLC, Before the Storm, further enriched my appreciation for the game, particularly with its exploration of the complex relationship between Rachel Amber and Chloe Price. While Life is Strange 2 failed to capture my attention and I never actually finished it, and I have yet to engage with any of the Deck 9 games, the yearning for a similar experience persisted. And this year, it seemed that yearning was answered. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is a 2-episode long game that was released for free for PlayStation Plus members. The first episode came out in February, but I bided my time, patiently waiting for the second one to drop so I could play them both together. So when the second one was released in April, I jumped right in and earned my 271st Platinum Trophy. So was this a return to form for Don't Nod, and do I think this will stick with me for as long as Life is Strange has? Let's take a look. Bloom and Rage opens with you sitting in a car, on the phone to your mother. You are Swan Holloway, a woman in her 40s returning to her childhood home after a 27-year absence. Her purpose? To reconnect with friends that she has neither seen nor spoken to in the intervening time. The catalyst for this reunion lies in a mysterious pact forged during the summer of 1995, and the unravelling of this promise forms the game's central enigma. It didn't take long for me to get invested in this mystery, as the girls who make up the group of friends, the titular Bloom and Rage band, were incredibly well written. I, admittedly, was never a teenage girl, but the whole group was so relatable. It reminded me of me in my teens and the intense friendships that you create when you meet another person who is just a little bit weird and a little bit of an outcast like you are. The first episode, or tape, of the game does such a good job at establishing these friendships and letting you see how the 4 girls, Swan, Nora, Autumn and Kat, all connect. Nora and Autumn play music together, Kat writes poetry, and Swan loves to record and make videos with their camera. All of these talents come together, with the girls forming the titular Bloom and Rage, a band. The majority of the first tape is setting all of this up, and when they go to record their first music video, they find a cabin in the woods, and, on a whim, decide that it would be a great place for them to use as a secret hideout, a sanctuary away from the difficulties of the outside world. I think if this had been the entire game, just the 4 friends getting to know each other, camping in an abandoned cabin, telling ghost stories and playing Truth or Dare, I think I would have still enjoyed this game, but much like Life is Strange before it, there is something sinister and supernatural underneath the idyllic surface. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what this is, as it is quite spoilery, and it's not really a huge gameplay mechanic the way that rewinding time was in Life is Strange, but what I will say is this: I don't think this game needed the supernatural twist. Personally, I found these aspects to be the weakest elements of the story. The existing drama, particularly the antagonistic dynamics within Kat's family and the pivotal twist at the end of the first episode, felt sufficient without this added layer of the fantastical. This issue was only exacerbated within the second tape, where the ending revolved quite heavily around the supernatural elements, and it made the ending feel rushed and lacking in the emotional impact that I had been bracing myself for. I had a few theories about how I thought the game would end while I was playing it, trying to figure out how the girls went so quickly from this close-knit group to promising to never see each other again, and how it was going to tie the episode's main antagonist into everything, and how the supernatural abyss would explain all of this. But the ending doesn't really do that. It just feels abrupt and disjointed. I'm fine with open-ended stories left to be interpreted, where the game doesn't offer you an explanation and you have to figure one out for yourself. But Bloom and Rage does try to give you one, it just came out of nowhere. Maybe it was the ending that I got. I had a pretty high friendship with everyone, both in the past and in the present, and I was sure that I was on my way to getting a pretty good finale, but it just didn't happen, and it left me feeling really disappointed. The modern segments of the game, where you see the friends reunited in a bar, doesn't suffer from this at all, focusing much more on the girls reminiscing and revealing how they were feeling at the time, but were often afraid to say out loud. Bloom and Rage does such a good job with the adult version of the characters. They are obviously changed, shaped by the lives they've led, more mature and reserved than their younger counterparts, but the dialogue is so well written that every so often you can see hints of their younger selves shine through as the women reconnect with who they were when they were younger, as well as reconnecting with each other. Despite my misgivings about the supernatural elements of it though, I really enjoyed the ending I got. It felt so right for the characters I had gotten to know over the last 8 or so hours of gameplay.
You always said we wouldn't make it big, but I still never thought you'd leave music behind.
As is typical for these kind of games, the ending you get is determined by the choices you have made throughout both episodes. Gameplay mechanics are pretty standard for narrative adventure: exploration, interaction with the environment, and dialogue choices that influence character relationships and the unfolding story. These choices range from minor decisions, such as who you want to go and help clean up in the cabin, or more significant ones like intervening in conflicts with different characters. One thing that I really liked about how Bloom and Rage does their dialogue choices though, is the way that it lets time affect your options. Most of the dialogue choices you have a timer to them, and if you wait too long to respond, the game will act as if Swan had said nothing. And sometimes this is the best response, just like in real life. If you click a response quickly though, it will sometimes interrupt the character you're talking to. This is never seen negatively, but it will sometimes cut off things that they had to say, and more importantly, will stop you from seeing potential additional responses. There are a few moments in the game where the best response isn't actually available straight away, and you need to wait for someone to finish talking, or for you to look around the room and notice something for the option to appear. I thought this was really interesting, and actually sometimes meant that the game's dialogue sounded a lot more organic and natural than some other games I've played in this genre. The other, more unique gameplay mechanic is tied to Swan's hobby, her camcorder. While using it is necessary at some story moments, and it is a quite key part of the story, you can also start filming just whenever you're wandering around. As you look around with the camera out, sometimes you will see highlighted areas of interest that you can film, and it will unlock subjects for Swan's memoirs. These range from things like filming your cat doing stuff in your room, or filming different graffiti left around town. When you've found enough footage for the memoir, the game will put together a short 30 to 60 second movie of what you've filmed with some dialogue by Swan over the top. These memoirs don't drastically alter the story, but they are really cute. For a lot of the subjects you can also find more footage than you necessarily need too, and then you can quickly edit in different clips to make the home movie just the way you want it. It isn't something that I really messed around with, but I'm sure there are people out there that will really enjoy this.
Lights, camera, movie palace.
Although not necessary for the gameplay or narrative, you will need to film a lot of stuff for the game's trophy list. One of the longest trophies in the game is Complete Box Set, which is for filling out all of the collectible memoirs. This means you need to keep an eye out for everything that you can film, because there are 22 different memoir subjects in the game, and each of them needs a different number of clips to fill out. The graffiti memoir, for example, needs 10 different clips to complete, but there are way more instances of graffiti to film than you actually need. The game also has a collectible mode where you can go in and replay scenes that you've already done to find things that you've missed. However, for collectibles you find in this mode to count, you need to actually finish the scene, which is different from the story mode of the game. There are also a whole bunch of trophies for playing around with the footage that you find. Favoriting 10 clips, deleting a clip, editing a completed memoir with a new clip, and moving footage around inside a clip all have their own trophies attached to them. There is one trophy that I did miss out on my first run though, because I was accidentally too thorough. The trophy, Documentary Filmmaker, needs you to find a new subject in collectible mode. What I thought this meant was just filming something that you didn't already have footage of, but I was wrong. What you actually need to do is find a completely new subject that you have missed. And if, like me, you have found all the collectibles in your story playthrough, the trophy is actually not earnable anymore. What I had to do was start a new game, run through the first few scenes where you learn how to use the camcorder, only film the things necessary for the story, and then move on. Then, once you get to the next scene, go back, go into collectible mode for the first scene again, and then find a subject. For me, I decided not to film Twiggy the stick insect for the Critters memoir. This wasn't a huge deal, and it only took me about 15 minutes once I'd figured out what I needed to do, but I did spend about an hour thinking the game had bugged on me and kept retrying short scenes, trying to find things I hadn't filmed. Most of the other missable trophies are earnable in collectible mode, like imitating someone while recording them for Dub and Dubber, and some require knowledge from later in the game, like unlocking the padlock on a fence you'll find in the woods. The code for this isn't actually found until the last scene of Tape 1 in the bike outside the bar, but once you know the code, you can go back into collectible mode, unlock it, and earn the trophy, Heartbreak. There are some real missable things, though, that you need to pay attention to throughout the whole playthrough, and these can't be earned in collectible mode as they require decisions made across multiple scenes. The first of these is 90s chic, which is for changing your outfit at every opportunity. Most of these chances come whenever you're in Swan's bedroom, and by interacting with the closet you can pick a new outfit. However, there are a couple of other opportunities, one in the cabin and one in Nora's house, that can only come if you examine Swan's backpack or Nora's shopping bags. If you have picked a different outfit each time, you will earn the trophy. The second of these is for examining all of the items in Swan's secret stash under her bed. These items change as the story progresses, so it's always worth checking when you're in her room, and the last time you do this will earn you the trophy Dear Diary. There is also one missable trophy for altering the story. The easiest way to do this is early in Tape 1, you will find yourself looking for Autumn's keys. Before knocking them down, make sure that you find the cardboard nearby and cover the drain so the keys don't fall down them, and this will earn you the trophy Butterfly Effect. Lastly, the only other major trophies you need are for getting certain relationship milestones you have with each of your friends. In Tape 2, there are a few key scenes that will play out really differently depending on your friendship level with the girls, and each one of these has a trophy for getting the result associated with trust. With Autumn, you need to help her and convince her to stay in the cabin with you. With Kat, you have a scene where you cut her hair in her room. Nora's is a little bit more complicated, as you need to successfully complete a stealth section without failing as well. To even get these as options though, you need to have a high level of friendship built up over the rest of the game. It isn't difficult to do, just try not to leave any of the girls out, be honest with them about things, and listen to them when they talk. Lastly, there are two incredibly important trophies to earn. The first is unmissable and potentially the most important choice in the game, naming your cat. This is going to be the first trophy you earn in the game, and it's very important, so choose wisely. The second trophy is also cat related and is called Geez Oh Meow. This trophy is for petting your cat on 2 separate days. You will get a ton of opportunities to pet your cat whenever you're in Swan's room, so make sure you do it. And with all of this done, you will earn the Platinum Trophy, Reunion.
Bye, Pumpkin. Love you. And don't tell Mom about the hideout. It's our secret, okay?
When I'd finished playing Bloom & Rage, I had a lot of clashing feelings about the way it had all ended, almost as divided as the game's 2 tapes. Tape 1 does such a good job of building up the girls, their friendships and potential romances, and it was starting to feel like even the antagonists had a depth to them that I didn't expect at first. But Tape 2 felt like it kept getting so close to being amazing and being what I wanted, and then stumbling at the end. The primary antagonist veered into caricature, and the integration of the supernatural elements felt forced and rushed and left a bittersweet aftertaste. I would still recommend this game, especially if you liked Life is Strange or any of the other Telltale games. And maybe this is just the first part of a larger story, and in the long run it will all come together. But even if it doesn't change the fact that I really enjoyed the majority of the game. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this look at Lost Records Bloom & Rage and its trophy list. Please consider subscribing if you did, and let me know in the comments if you have played of it what you think. And until next time, happy hunting.